Hey everybody, happy Friday. If you are not charging, you are screwing both yourself and your clients over. And I do believe that. Welcome. I'm Haley Gray. I'm here with my guest and dear friend, Toria Bentley.
Hi, everybody.
And we're going to be talking about this wonderful thing and this wonderful challenge and this whole I don't know how much to charge. I feel guilty about it kind of a conversation because I've had this conversation a few times with people lately. And it's something that I've struggled with. But, it doesn't really cost me anything to do something. Well, it does. It's my time, it's my opportunity cost, it's all those things, right? Oh, let me go in real quick and fix that for you and not charge you for that. And
it never stops.
it never stops.
You, our audience out there, has all gone to school, done something to learn to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they have acquired proprietary knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to them, or I hire you, or I hired you for my website. You go to them because they're good at what they do. And they're not doing it for free. They're doing it because they're in business.
Mm-hmm.
And to pretend otherwise is insulting to them and to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other thing too is that if you don't charge people, you're not going to be able to pay your bills, so you're not going to be able to stay in business long enough to be able to help people. So it actually turns out to be a self-defeating kind of a behavior.
Yeah, you don't want to bill them because they're your friend, or oh, I don't know if they can afford it. But all of a sudden, you're not earning any money,
And you're
and
not paying your bills and you're
yeah.
not able to make ends meet. And this is one of the things that I have personally really, really struggled with. And I see a lot of people who are healers, a lot of people who are, it doesn't matter. All walks of life really struggle with this. And I think that the worst um, implementation of this too, one of the things that I see happen a lot, and oops, I just kicked the dog under the desk,
No,
is sorry, I have a dog under my desk.
that's a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful thing. She keeps my feet warm.
You have a
Um,
rescue dog under your desk.
I have a rescue dog under my desk.
Yeah.
It's the can I pick your brain?
Yeah. Why
Can I,
don't you? And my answer to this in a role play is, if you call my office, I will put you on the schedule, and we'll set aside some time to do your work. Oh,
mm-hmm,
by the way, I am. Or you can wait until they call and say, now understand that this is billable time. And, you know, they
mm-hmm,
either go forward or they don't.
yeah. Yeah, I'd like to schedule a time to be able to talk to you about this appropriately.
Yeah, so we're not interrupted, and I'm
Mm-hmm,
not dealing with other things where you get my full attention and my focus. Why don't you come to my office? Or why don't you
mm-hmm.
speak with my secretary? Or why don't we get you on the schedule? And, you know,
Yeah, because the thing about brain picking in particular is that it's always at the most inconvenient moment. It's never on the schedule. And the problem is that somebody wants to ask you a simple question. I just have a question, just,
mm-hmm. It's a half an hour.
or longer.
You know something else? When I was practicing and we put in time for billing, people would say to me, "Why is a phone conversation point two, which would be 12 minutes?" And she said, "We might have only talked for 2 minutes." And it's because I've got to stop working on Susie's stuff. I've got
Put
to
it
put
away.
that aside. I got to look towards you, get out myself, start working on you when you call. And then when you're
Mm-hmm.
finished, put that away and go back and start over with Susie's stuff. That's 10 minutes every time. That's
Mm-hmm.
the way that
A
goes. It's not that
minimum.
we just talked for a minute. It's I left something else to come to you, and now I have to go back to it and start where I left off, and I'm not there anymore. I'm not in that zone. I got to get up to speed again. People don't understand that, how valuable time is.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anybody's special, but this is what we do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Our time is the commodity here.
Mm-hmm.
It's billable time. It's this knowledge you want. You get this knowledge by talking, by having a meeting. That's what is the valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we're either on a billable hour, or maybe you can find somebody else who can answer your question.
Yeah.
And I think that can be done nicely, but it's, this is business.
Yeah. And it's got to be treated as business.
And we have to have respect enough for ourselves that we do that we're not giving this away. When I went to law school in the dinosaur era, law school was $500 a credit hour. I carved out 3 years of my life, 55 pounds in 11 weeks I dropped, nearly thought I was going to die, and gave up a whole lot. And it's not to just talk about the law with friends. And, what's something worth that you don't pay for anyway?
Right. Well, and that's the other thing, is that people don't appreciate what they don't have skin in the game, i.e. money on the table for. They're just interested. They're not actually invested in the game.
They're not
And
committed.
they're definitely
They
not
want
committed.
you to commit. And, you think about it with law. It's malpractice. It's, but you're the lawyer and you said, and where's the client, retainer? Where's the confidentiality? All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking me to be silent forever till I die, and you have given me nothing in return. You've asked for my knowledge and given me nothing in return.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I had talked about this in the office. The lawyers who worked for me. Oh, I didn't want to charge Mrs. Jones. She doesn't have a lot of money.
I felt bad for her.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. And it's like, well, I feel bad for you because you're not going to get a paycheck this week because I don't have the funds because you refused to bill.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so hard about that? It sounds so mercenary. It sounds so tough. But if you're not going to care enough about the business to be able to pay the light bill, like you said, there's going to be no business.
Right. Or I don't care enough about the business to track my hours in ClickUp or whatever system you use. I use ClickUp. And I'm going to bill you for the hours anyway, but you have no way of tracking my hours. But you have all this money. Huh?
Yeah, it's somebody's word for it. Instead of, here is the spreadsheet. On July 1, we spent an hour and a half talking about the design. On July 5, we spent 2 hours.
And here's the notes. Exactly.
Here's the fruits of your money.
Mm-hmm. And here's what you worked on, and here's how it was worked on. And this is important because a lot of times we, don't keep good enough records and don't stay on top of this stuff. And lo and behold, people get shocked, if they don't have a record of their hours or their bills. Well, how are you supposed to get paid if you don't track the money, if you don't do it? And it's a struggle as you're trying to scale your business too.
And nobody has the luxury of being delayed. They're very, and I can't quote them to you, but I've been to enough continuing legal education credits where they say a bill that's 30 days, I'm roughing it out here, you got 90% chance of getting paid. A bill that's 60, it drops down to 50. A bill that's 90, it drops down to like 20%. So if you're not getting your bills out in a timely way, you're not going to get paid. I can remember as a new lawyer on my own, no secretary yet, I went on a trip for 3 days and sat in a hotel room and did my billing because I couldn't get it done where I was because I was getting interrupted so much. So I went to the beach and sat there and did billing. And I had a nice view of the water, but I sat in my hotel room and I did billing. I brought it all with me, and it's like, what'd you do on vacation? I did billing. And you can type in the billing phone call, or you can type phone call and discussed color palettes for the website.
Mm-hmm.
Client decided she's going to go between either purple or blue. That client will understand what she's paid for. Whereas you just write phone call, they're not going to know, and they're going to be less likely to pay you. So you have to be very detail oriented in keeping track of time and keeping logs, or you're not going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got all this software on your desk now. Anybody in any business can get the software. It is up to you. When you hang up the phone with Mrs. Smith, talked about custody of Billy, and is it going to be joint or is it going to be, whatever. But if you don't do that, you're not going to get paid.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. And it hurts when you put out invoices that somebody decides to then not pay, because that impacts your ability as a business owner to then pay your people or your bills.
You and I know that I'm also a pilot, and I have a friend who has what's called a fixed base operation. This is where you take your plane over to be worked on, or you take your plane over to get fuel, or you call them up and say, I need a bigger plane because I got to get to Atlanta tomorrow. Get me a pilot. Fixed base operation. And this guy, my friend, married the most fastidious, perfectionist, detail-oriented secretary he had ever met. They fell in love, whatever. They got married. And she knew the books. She knew that Billy Bob owed her 10 cents. He knew that Sally Sue owed her 15. Every Monday morning, Billy, we haven't gotten your payment yet. Do you want to give me a credit card over the phone? And man, they got paid. And I learned from them. And she taught me that. She said, if you're not on that phone every morning dialing for dollars, that's what she called it. She's from Shreveport, Louisiana. She said, I go dialing for dollars every Monday morning before people have their inner office meetings, before they get their week going. You owe me money. Let's go. And I know it sounds ruthless. I know it sounds mercenary, but I have done work for you. You have valued this work, or you have not valued this work, but you have asked me to do it, and I have delivered a product. If you want to act on it or not, that's up to you. But I have delivered this product. You must pay me. And roll it back to when the person hires you, that the first thing you do when they're sitting in your office signing this deal, or on the phone signing this deal, you need to understand, Sally Sue, that you're going to get a bill every 30 days. And that bill is payable in 15, and that needs to be in your contract. And we won't go to court until we've been paid for what we've done so far. I will simply let you go to court on your own. Now, you can't do that if it's a criminal case in Pennsylvania, but we're not going there. That's not what I'm talking about, and y'all aren't doing criminal law anyway. But here's the thing. If you let people know how it is when they hire you, there's no question. We're all on equal footing. You know what to expect. You know what you're going to get. You know what you bought. And you know what I'm going to deliver. Now, a lot of times people don't like the answer. I want to sue so-and-so. Well, that's not going to happen. I did the research. Here's the research. Here's what it says. It's not going to happen.
Well, and you could sue them, but it's going to cost you X amount of money. Mm-hmm. And here's how much you might get Y, and it's going to cost you Z to sue them. Do you really think that's a good idea?
Something else that I do, and I don't know if you do this, but I found it very helpful, and I called it the stop, caution, go list, the red, yellow, green list.
I do.
People would come in and they would say, I want to get divorced. And okay, what are your wish lists on this divorce? Mm-hmm. And I want you to red, yellow, and green. Like absolutely green is non-negotiable. Red, yellow, maybe. And they would say things like, I want the house and I want all the pensions and all the bank accounts. Well, I can't deliver that. I can't give you 100%. The law is equitable distribution. That means something 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, but it ain't 100-0. If you make the expectations very clear between the people and have them sign off, oh, I want a website by next week. That's a red light. You're not going to get a website by next week. But I can get you a website by February 1. Something like that. Everybody signs off. because
Mm-hmm.
they know what they're buying. And as long as there's free exchange of ideas here and people sign off, then
Mm-hmm.
you're good. And I think a lot of this comes from poor communication. Or you're going to have grifters, and you want to weed those people out early. You want to find out that they're not interested in paying you money early on before you
Mm-hmm.
get knee deep in it. I had a client one time who one of my lawyers allowed her, without telling me, allowed her in 1 month's time to be into my firm for $20,000. It was like every day he was in court, every day, every
Mm.
day after day after day. And it's like she had $1,000 retainer, and she was now into us for another 20. Well,
Oof.
we filed bankruptcy, and we never saw a dime. But that lawyer got paid every week. Oh wait, I didn't. I still had to pay the light bill. Still had to pay the insurance. I had to pay the search tools. I had to pay the secretaries, and the list. And he got to be the hero to his client, and I had an empty hand. That's my fault. That
Mm-hmm.
won't happen twice. And if it does, you're a dumbass, you know? So
Right. Yeah. And
that's
that's
where
like
it
a
is.
really painful lesson.
Oh, it is a painful lesson. It's an expensive and painful lesson. Yes.
Yeah. And, and that's the thing too, is, a lot of people look at you and they're like, well, you're the business owner. You can afford it.
Oh, didn't you all know we have 30 million, in the backyard somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, please. Where does that come from? Where does that, I don't know. That is such
Well, and then the other thing too that people see is, well, you're billing him 350 an hour, but you're only paying me 50 an hour, so therefore you can afford it.
Mhm.
How do you address that kind of set of comments?
That's a very typical comment from employees. It's like, who owns the building? Who's paying the mortgage? Who's paying the light bill? Who's paying your malpractice insurance? Who's paying Lexus, Westlaw, whatever search? Who's paying the $9,000 a month for internet or for marketing and website once upon a time 10 years ago, so that these people walk through the door and you have a job,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can hire you? And I'm taking all this risk so that
Yeah.
you can just clock out at 5 o'clock, because find me a group of people that want to work after 5. Well, I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why? You got work to do. I'll be here tomorrow. Well, I'd still be there. It's just different. It's different.
Yeah, no, and
And
this
if you're
is
the owner, they expect you to do the work.
mm-hmm.
And the buck does stop with the owner. If a client flakes, if a lawyer flakes on the client, it's on me.
Mm-hmm. You're in there burning the midnight oil doing the work
Mm-hmm.
because somebody flaked. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because
totally.
the motion has to be ready for tomorrow, and you had to go home because you didn't have a babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
Call your mama. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't working at Starbucks. When you own a business, it's not 9 to 5. It's 7 days a week, because it's all
Mm-hmm.
on you.
Yeah, you ultimately have to decide the terms and conditions in which you're doing business. And there are times where it's definitely 9 to 5, and definitely times where it is not, because you're picking up the buck and cleaning up the poop that somebody left on the ground there for you to clean up.
But
And I've done it. I
that's
mean,
what I
plenty of
signed
times.
on for.
Mm-hmm.
I signed on to take that responsibility.
That risk and that reward are both
That's
there.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
So as long as everybody understands what the expectations are,
Mm-hmm.
then you're better off. And you do that by meetings of memoranda of understanding after a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and you do it with signatures, and you do it by repeating back. I heard you say that you want full custody, you want the house, you want all the bank accounts and the pension.
Mm-hmm.
I can get you maybe full custody, considering whatever the circumstances are. I can get you an equitable share of the house, that's the law, and I can petition the court for alimony, and we'll go through the criteria for that, and then we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do more than that. As long as you're talking about what the expectations are.
Mm-hmm.
You do
And
your
setting
job.
clear expectations
Mm-hmm.
is really important. I've had a couple of conversations with people lately on the marketing realm, end of the realm. So we're talking about marketing and expectations. And, a couple of them that have really stuck out to me have been doing ads and building funnels and those kinds of things, and talking about conversion rates from ads and funnels and numbers and how many clicks you have to get in order to get somebody to sign up for something and what typical conversion rates are. And, a typical conversion rate for like an ad to get somebody onto a landing page. So once somebody gets onto your landing page is maybe 10%, maybe 15%. Sometimes people get 20% if they're really lucky. And, then you have to get X number of people signed up. So you're paying for this many people to sign up, and then you get this many people to actually show up to your webinar, and then you get this many people to actually like potentially buy. And it's just math.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And setting that expectation of that math of, I'm sorry, it's probably not going to cost you $200 a month to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve, because mathematically, if I back into what the typical conversion rates are, you're not there. It's probably more like $2,000 or $2,500 or $5,000 a month to get to those numbers.
I have a colleague.
Mm-hmm.
He has never advertised,
Mm-hmm.
and he's never had to.
Mm-hmm.
He has more work than he knows what to do with,
Right.
because what he does, only one or two people do in my neck of the woods. And he's been very lucky. And we talked about this. He goes, yeah, you bring the young lawyers in, and they want to advertise, and they want to spend $10,000 a month in marketing. He said, it takes everything I've got to do the work I have. I can't add double my client load. I can't do it. And I thought about that, and I thought, wow, that's really neat that you're in that position, because nobody else is. I mean, the whole word of mouth thing, to be able to ride word of mouth for 30 years when you're a first, it's not like his dad had the business before him. He created it from scratch. And by his graciousness to people, and by his humor, and by his skill, they keep coming back, and they send their grandma, and they say whatever. But if people think, that's such a one-off. That's such a 1 in 100. And it's interesting to me, because I know all the players in the firm. He's not getting the, well, you're the rich lawyer thing. He's not getting that. He really looks out for his people. He really takes care of things. But it takes so much to do it. He's traded his life away for that. Doesn't have a family. Doesn't have time to enjoy the successes he's created. He's not one of those guys with a mountain house or a boat or an airplane, or you know what I mean. He's not doing that because he's working all the time, because that's what it takes to be that kind of successful.
Mm-hmm.
And always, this is what I can deliver. This is what I can do for you. This is what I can't do for you.
Right.
And he said something to me that was really important about running this business. He said, you got to be willing to fall on the sword. If something goes wrong, if somebody else in the equation screws up, you got to be willing to say, I'll get it taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Got missed, we'll get it done. And that kind of magnanimousness, that makes a difference.
Absolutely. And that's part of what we do, is we try to, as owners, fill the gaps, because that's the buck stops here.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well, I've missed you the last couple of weeks.
I've missed you too. Yeah, it's been a kind of a crazy last couple of weeks. And
it has.
This has been delightful. This is awesome to wrap up the week, getting to talk to you and see you and be here. So thank you guys. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you, Haley. This is so fun.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to y'all next week. Take care.
See ya.
Bye bye.